y bibliotecas virtuales, metodología práctica y soporte técnico. Universidad del Pacífico, live streaming. En un entorno global y competitivo, accede a educación a través de medios digitales, sesiones en vivo, aulas y bibliotecas virtuales, metodología práctica y soporte técnico. Universidad del Pacífico, live streaming. En un entorno global y competitivo, accede a educación a través de medios digitales, sesiones en vivo, aulas y bibliotecas virtuales.
For connecting. I am Leonidas Villagran. This is a connection from Universidad del Pacífico, Guayaquil, Ecuador. We are very happy and grateful to have here to Mr. Johannes Blok Danielsen from Norway, from the Norwegian Health Club. Johannes, thank you very much. I am now passing the connection to our dean, Julian Reina, the Maritime School Dean, that will do the initial presentation, and welcome to all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Leonidas. This is a very nice and special afternoon in Ecuador, because we're having the pleasure to have today a specialist from Norway. He belongs to the Norwegian Health Club, and he is a specialist in insurance and reinsurance. She's going to give a very nice speech this evening, and he's going to share with us his expertise in this special team, and very specialized also, especially for people in maritime law, as our students in the master class of maritime law, and some of my students that I have now in this classroom, they are in the grade of in general law. So thank you very much for being with us. We have today Johannes Blok Daniel. He is our special guest, and welcome. I hope Leonidas could help me to direct this nice speech. And unfortunately, at 7 p.m., if we have not finished yet, I have to break apart and take my course again. But thank you very much again, and I hope I'm very sure that we're going to have a very, very nice evening. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Johannes, I am curious. You graduated of the University of Southampton, and you are an LLM in maritime law. And you have been working 14 years in the Norwegian Health Club. So, and you have been practicing and learning a lot, and I think that we are like we have the advantage to hear in 1 hour that is going to be this webinar all your experience. So, which is your let's say after being in the university And now having this experience, what advice would you give to students that are now studying the LLM here in Ecuador, as an example? Is insurance really important?
Thank you very much, Leonidas. And the question is good. Let me first perhaps thank both the Dean and yourself for this initiative to give me the pleasure and honor to do this speech in the Norwegian Hull Club to show our face here. It is a great honor. And then, yes, I am myself a legal background. I first graduated from Copenhagen with a candidate from Copenhagen, and I wanted to learn more about this fantastic world of maritime law, this global industry. So I went to Southampton and I did the LLM course in Southampton. And I enjoyed it very much. It was fantastic. What I perhaps found during law school was that you get to have a quite good idea on the law when you come out from law school. But the market, the companies, the day-to-day work, you may not know that much about, and all the systems and mechanisms that are around the law, you may not have that much information about. So therefore, I thank you, Leonidas, for taking up this topic. We started this topic as a analysis of the London market with the Nordic market, which I think is a good starting point to understand how different methodologies, strategies, play a huge difference on also how we as an underwriter use the law and use the experts, practitioners that are around us. And then to your question, yes, I can tell the LLM students here, you have a fantastic, interesting future ahead of you. Just embrace it. The best thing you can do is you study the law now, and then you do go into practice and do what you find to be interesting. Then I promise you the rest will come. I am myself extremely dedicated, passionate in my line of business, and I hope to show you a bit why, because it is a global industry. It is big values. It is big incidents. It is news media cases. You feel that you are in the middle of the of the globe. So yes, but dedication, enjoy it, and then you get out into practice. That is the best advice.
Well, that's true. It happens. You can be handling cases from Norway that are happening, let's say, in South America, or and you have to deal with lawyers or surveyors or people that are doing inspections, or authorities from other parts of the world. That's true. So it's a very national profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I can say that I do believe the first time we came across each other, Leonidas, was when I needed an advice on a small collision case in your jurisdiction. What I wanted to know, that was time bar rules for collision cases locally and within that specific regional jurisdiction and that terminal. And that was a collision case between two of Norwegian Hull Club's members, meaning that we had put up internally what we used to call a Chinese wall, now is I think we call it a communication barrier internally. And my colleagues on the other side of the fence, they were perhaps thinking about the global 2-year time bar rules applicable, whereby in that terminal and in that specific region, there were different time bar rules, which we were advised by you about, since we were extremely liable and had smaller damage. We were sitting very quiet in our boat and not mention anything about the coming time bars, leaving that to our colleagues on the other side of the communication barrier to figure that out for themselves. Because that is how a communication barrier has to work, even when Norwegian Hull Club is on both sides. It has to be a complete barrier. And that case did go time bar. When they came to us, we had to tell them that, sorry, we apologize, but your case is time barred. So that was when we came to know each other, Leonidas, and thank you for that.
I remember it very well, but now I have to advise. We have a new Code of Commerce from 2019, and now time bar is 2 years.
Okay.
So
Very good to know.
it used to be like 50 days, but now it's 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Thank you for that.
Let's go to our issue, and this is going to be a very interesting conversation because we want to hear from you about the Nordic market. We are more acquainted about the Nordic market. We know more about the London market, but we want to hear from you about the Nordic market, and also if you can give us some comparison, so we can have more information about.
I will try to do that, and I think I will say to all on board here that for all of us, English is at best the second language. So if you don't understand me, that is absolutely understandable. Just raise your hand, ask questions, and I will perhaps ask you, Leonidas, if anyone prefers to write something on the chat, then do that. And if you could just give me a heads up if something comes, Leonidas, that would be appreciated.
Very good idea.
And then, of course, interrupt me. That is no problem. You just interrupt me if there's anything. And I think we try to put in a small break for information, for questions at the end as well, if any questions come. So now I will try to get on the correct screen. And that is always a good task. Let me just now. Do you see my screen saying LLM students in Ecuador with more?
Perfect.
Thank
you very much for saying
it. Thank you very much. I will then kick it off, and as I say, please do interrupt me. I will take today's agenda, and I said I put it on a whole machinery underwriter's perspective, and that is perhaps not entirely right. Norwegian Hull Club is more than a whole machinery underwriter's perspective, but that will be the main focus. I'm not going to take the P&I angle here today. Norwegian Hull Club does have a P&I book as well. Although we are going to close down our P&I business, we do have a P&I book, and especially we have a significant P&I book within our war risk insurance. So from that background, we are just going to go very quickly through history, and I've spent a bit more time looking at the difference in the Nordic and the UK London market. I will not spend much time on the law today, but I will spend much time on strategy, on how it has developed, how the relation and partnerships have developed, and why that does make a difference, and which is influencing the law and the conditions as well. And that will give an insight into the market status at the end also. And then I have a last point calling the claims handling anno 2022, where I will, when I'm looking at it, the difference between Nordic and UK market, then I will go back and look at use Norwegian Hull Club as an example on how we are treating cases, how we are dealing with cases, and the expectations that lie on us from our members. So, on that agenda, let's start. So, history, very briefly. 1688, Lloyd's was founded. That is all known. And from there, if you go up to the mid 18th century, 1750s and onward, then you have Lloyd's pretty much as we know it today, with boxes and syndicates, etc. Lloyd's there have been hull clubs in the London market, but they are not existing anymore. Looking then to towards Norway, particularly, if you go all the way up to 1830s, then you had a huge growth in shipping, and one started to develop mutual insurance. At that time, it was very clear you had one ship owner, and he was trading his vessel, and if it got damaged significantly or lost, then he was out of business. Everything he had worked for was gone and lost. So the ship owners in the Norwegian fjords, they started to join together. They chipped into a pool. They started the clubs in the Nordic countries, very much influenced and inspired by how the both hull clubs and the P&I clubs had developed in UK, in London, from the mid 18th century. And that developed steadily. 1850s, they became international, and in time also with steamers, they started to get big. In 1864, one found out that we need to have someone that is checking up on these vessels. This was both an interest for the underwriters, but it was also very much an interest for the ship owners, because the ship owners that were chipping into this pool, they were paying for those ship owners that did not maintain their vessels properly, that did not have the same standards as they had. So everybody had an interest in having someone to vet the quality. DNV, Norsk Veritas, was established. Norwegian Hull Club was one at the time not called Norwegian Hull Club, and Norwegian Hull Club was one of the founders of the DNV, of the class society. We still have a standing representative on the DNV board, and we have a lot of cooperation with DNV. So going into the Norwegian Hull Club history, our oldest leg, 1837, Langesund Skipsassuranseforening. 1815, Bergen came about, and the Norwegian Hull Club, Bergen Skipsassuranseforening, and Langesund, which came into Unitas, were all merged in 2001, becoming Norwegian Hull Club. In 1871, it was found a need to have a more regulated contract of insurance, and that was the start of the first Norwegian marine insurance plan. And I think I will mention a bit more about it, but the important part with the Norwegian marine insurance plan is that this is a market product. It is not an underwriter's product. It is a market product where all development changes is done in agreement between the ship owners, between the underwriters, between academia, and there are some lawyers and brokers involved there as well. It's a joint effort, and it is being developed constantly and changed every third year. So it is a very updated product. Jurisprudence, legal decisions that are found to be unfortunate, if you put it that way, will be reflected every third year in this document, and the document will be changed. I think I will not say very much more about the history, but other than to say that the Nordic marine insurers, when you look at this, they come about from being a club. And what is a club? A mutual club. It is the same as the mutual P&I clubs today. It is owned by the ship owners, where the ship owners both put some money in there, but they also requested to have a service element. A service element where the underwriter is providing them service, is providing them adjusting service, claims handling service, legal service, etc. So that lies very heavily in the Norwegian Hull Club's structure still. And then it's perhaps worth mentioning that
Recording stopped.
I heard recording stopped, but that's just FYI for whoever's technical here.
You can continue. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the mutual element is very important. Norwegian Hull Club is still a mutual club owned by the ship owners, and meaning that the ship owners are sitting on our boards, and our strategy is being decided by the ship owners. We are probably the only proper Hull club now. I think that the main part of Guard and Swedish club, that's a mixture. So I will leave the history there. And then I think for the LLM students, I'm going to talk a bit about what does a ship owner need now. This is the James Cook. I took this because we had a good incident with the James Cook. It's a Northern Danish ship on a Northern vessel. So I used this presentation, this slide for a training session with them after this incident. What does a ship owner need? A ship owner, he will need most likely hull machinery, some loss of hire insurance. Raise your hand if you don't know what loss of hire insurance is, or hull machinery or total loss. So I will elaborate, but just let me know if I'm talking words and expressions that are obvious for me and not for the participants. But there may be some war insurance required, some P&I, perhaps not cargo, but they may be relevant what cargo insurance there is. CLH, that's normally a P&I, charter's liability to hull insurance. Not relevant for the owner, but if he's the charterer of this vessel, very relevant. And it may be relevant for the owner, who is the CLH, the P&I underwriter of the charterers, mortgagee insurance, and a lot of other insurances. It all comes into the umbrella of risk management, what risk management an owner has to do. And if you then look into these various insurance types, then you have a lot of different insurances, covers. Nordic Marine Insurance, ITC in UK, you have the American Hull, you have ADS, DDV, German clauses, etc. I think you have pretty much most countries have their own. You have Danish clauses, Swedish clauses, Finnish clauses, etc. And I don't know, do you have Ecuadorian clauses as well? You may well have.
We have, but they are mostly submitted to London clauses.
Yeah. But most countries have. So there's a jungle there. And of course, this is the role of the broker. He will come in and help the ship owner in deciding what is needed there. And then also perhaps for the how the normal structure of a hull machinery is. And this may be important in understanding when I talk about lead insurance, etc. So you have an owner or management company that is setting up insurance for one vessel or a fleet of vessels. And because if you have a bigger management company or ship owner, then you may have 100 vessels or 300 vessels. It is an enormous risk to undertake. So you have a lead underwriter who has one share, and then you have co-insurers taking on the remainder. But you need to have one lead underwriter there that decides. If you have a salvage, if you have a collision, you cannot have 10, 15 different underwriters running the show. You need to have one in the driving seat that takes the decisions on behalf of the underwriters. Then behind each of these, you have a reinsurance, meaning there are a lot of financial facilities behind each vessel, behind each and every single case, actually. So that is worth having with us. And then when we do have an incident, this yellow star or whatever it is I have put in there, that symbolizes a damage today. where the owner will have a superintendent attending and underwriter will have a surveyor attending. And both of those reports will be read by both the lead, the co-insurers, and if it's big enough, then also the reinsurers. Again, there are a lot of people involved behind here. When I am appointing Leonidas on my case, there is an invoice where I am paying 10% ultimately. I may be fronting it, but I'm paying 10% ultimately. And then the remainder here, all the other parties involved will pay their shares as well back to me. Okay, what is the purpose of insurance? A bit provocative. I don't know. Any of the LLM students have an offer there? Can we take questions here, Leonidas? Is that possible?
We can try. We can try to do it. Yes, of course.
So I invite, what is the purpose of insurance? I think what you will see is that the first, and for some, the most important, that is the obvious, a financial security. You need, if something happens, you have a mortgage, the vessel sinks, you still have your mortgage, someone has to pay that. A financial security. And that is usually based on a rating, a Standard & Poor, a Moody, or whatever. But what more is there? What is insurance more? Well, in marine insurance, it is a lot more. It can be a lot more, at least. There's a requirement of a handling support. These cases, they are big. You need experts in pretty much every step of this road of a case. You need experts involved. You need handling. You need legal advice, adjusting, definitely with the whole machinery. Loss prevention, contingency response. I have heard some of my colleagues, they don't talk about insurance as a product. They talk about it in more emotions, as it is a promise. It is a promise when you have a mortgage and you have a fleet of 100 vessels, you are concerned. If something happens, you are concerned. Insurance is a promise that when something happens, everything will go well. It's a matter of trust, and that is important. And then I'm trying to be provocative. For whom is that trust? Well, for the owner, yes. But it's not always the owner that is driving his ship-owning company. Very often it's the mortgagee. A loss of hire insurance, that is very often on basis of the requirement from the mortgagee, from the bank, in order to get a loan facility. He likes to have the downtime insured. He likes to get his payments in time. So the owner, yes, but there may be others that are pushing that behind. Now, turning this on this basis into the difference between the Nordic model and the London model on a strategy. And looking at the market status from there. And I may admit immediately that I am biased, and that will probably influence what I'm saying now. So challenge me if you see it differently. But the difference between the system, that is very much on the model that the two systems have elected. And they come about from a very long time, a long history. What I'm showing here is on the Nordic model is a case from what we call from crash to cash, from notification to payment, from the incident all the way until the ship owner has got paid his money back. You have various stages in there that goes through whether you have a case in London or in Norway or in Ecuador or anywhere. A notification to the underwriter puts out a surveyor. You have a spec and tendering if the case is big enough. Repairs are done. Invoices come into the underwriter. You have a statement of claim, we call that. Then you're adjusting the claim and the payment is done. The Nordic model is basing on that all of these steps are done in-house. When the ship owner started the hull clubs, they put the service element into the clubs. They did not wish to have a full staff with the ship owner to deal with this. They wanted to have their own club, which they do own, to deal with this. And here is one big difference, because if the club does it well, and we do from time to time do it well, there are no shareholders behind here getting money. It is the ship owners that are getting premium in return. And we are returning premium almost more than every second year at the moment. So that is an important element. And then I can say that for the hull underwriters, just to finish this part of it, the P&I clubs, they have an opportunity to do cash calls if they have bad years. We really can't do that because we are in competition with limited companies, with the London market, which cannot do it. And if we were doing cash calls as a hull club, that would be a commercial suicide. So we cannot do that, but we do return premium to our ship owners when we do it well. But the point we make here is that every single step here is dealt with in-house. We have a service team here, a claims handling team, which is the biggest team with the Norwegian Hull Club, that is dealing with every single of these steps in-house for every single case. So under the Nordic model, you have claims handling in-house, legal advice, contingency, adjusting, loss prevention, in-house. I will talk much more about loss prevention and contingency response a bit later on how we actually, what we mean, what we are talking about. Legal advice, of course. If you have, like my case with Leonidas in Ecuador, I need to have an Ecuadorian lawyer to come on board. If I have a case in London that is before the courts in London, I need to have a London lawyer. That is, of course, but I do have in-house here both Romanian, Danish, Norwegian, English lawyers, qualified lawyers, solicitors sitting here with us that can support our members on a daily basis. Adjusting, and just to clarify, adjusting, that is the end product. That is where the full calculation of the case is coming out to the ship owner, how much he is getting paid, or she. That is done in-house, except for general average cases. And why is that? That is because very often in the bills of ladings and in the charter parties, it says that the average adjustments, general average adjustments, are to be done by a UK general average adjuster or a New York general average adjuster, and it has to be a neutral, because then you're doing an adjustment that is for both the cargo, the charterers, the ship owners, all parties involved in the adventure. Okay, so that is the Nordic model. It is in-house. The service element lies in-house. The London model is very much opposite. Claims handling, you will find, if any, you will find a very reduced claims handling team in the syndicates or in the hull machinery clubs outside Lloyd's. Very reduced, if any. Legal advice, outsourced. Adjusting, outsourced. Loss prevention, outsourced. Contingency response, outsourced. And that is a difference, because that is a system that relies on external. It's a system where you have the brokers then running the cases, and you have lawyers together with the adjusters that are handling the cases. It is a system that is a more retroactive. It's not a proactive system. It is not actively involved in the loss prevention and support to the ship owners. It's a retroactive. It sits and waits for the claim, and then the adjusters consider it. And coming back to the promise that I was talking about, what is insurance? Well, it is a promise that we will be there when something happens. It's a matter of trust. Can an an owner that is insuring with the London market, does he know that the insurer will be there in the end when everything has been settled and he gets the adjustment? Will it pay him everything? Question mark. I take a different angle, talk about teamwork. In the Nordic market, we are very focused on having the direct relation with the ship owner. That comes from the ship owner being our owner. He is our partner. And that partnership we put up in a triangle. We need to have the broker, we need to have the ship owner, we need to have the underwriter. All three of us are working together. And this triangle you will find whether you're looking at Gard or Swedish Club or Norwegian Hull Club. This is the essence in the Nordic market. You have a very close relation to the ship owner. You are there to help him proactively when something happens. And you are involved from the very beginning in a cooperation between these three parties. Compared with the London market, where you have a strategic partnership that goes usually between, and I say usually, but that is the vast majority of the fleets and the lines that are insured, between the underwriter and the broker. And it stops there. And then the relation goes between the broker and the ship owner. And it stops there. It is a very different animal, meaning that when the ship owner has his case, he will deliver his claim at some point up to the broker, up to the underwriter, but that might be half a year later after the vessel has been repaired. There is no relation in there. So I think this strategy on claims handling, this methodology, this way of thinking has also come into play when we look at the actual law behind and the insurance conditions. It is a very, it is a considerable difference, at least if you look at first the Nordic plan, which was the Norwegian plan, but Nordic plan now, versus IDC together with the Marine Insurance Act. You have, on the one hand, with the Nordic plan, all risk cover, which is contrary to insured perils cover. Does that make a difference today? Yes, and I know that the Marine Insurance Act and they have tried to accommodate some of these differences, but does it make a difference? Yes, it does. And it has done it in several cases, both recent and further in the past. If some of you, for the LLM students, you may have heard about one older case called Poppy M, which was a quite, you can say, an entertaining case with a vessel that sunk. And owners were claiming that this had to do with first with crew negligence, which is a covered peril, while the marine underwriters they were claiming that there had to be a lack of maintenance, etc., which is a not covered peril. The judge said, no, we do actually not believe any of you. We cannot see that it's been proven that any of those causes are the cause behind the sinking of the vessel, the loss of this vessel. But we do not find it proven either what the cause is. And if you cannot prove what the cause is, dear ship owner, you haven't proven that you have an insured peril. You have no claim against your underwriter. So, no claim, no covered claim. Very opposite to a Nordic plan approach, where you have all risk cover, all perils are covered unless they are specifically excluded. If you take a different, more recent case, which you may be well aware of, also called the B Atlantic, which was a drug seizure case. That was a drug seizure due to a bulker coming into Venezuela with drugs on board, and the vessel was seized. The owner claimed first under the whole cover with the ITC, but drug seizure, drugs are not an insured peril. So they said that, well, to have carry drugs on board have to be a malicious act, and this has then to be a war risk cover. And the judge came to the conclusion, which is the right conclusion, I believe, that carrying drugs on board is not a malicious act. It is one for enrichment of those that are carrying the drugs. It's not a malicious act. They do not mean anything malicious with it other than to make some money for themselves. Contrary to the Nordic plan, where you again have an all risk cover, since drugs are not specifically excluded under the Nordic plan, they are covered as on hollow machinery. And I have actually been involved with covering compromised total loss in Mexico under the Nordic plan, whole machinery cover. So it does make a difference also today if you have an all risk cover versus insured perils. The burden of proof under the London ITC lies with the plaintiff, and it is the claimant will be the ship owner if the underwriter says no. So the ship owner will have to carry the burden of proof above the 50% task. Under the Nordic plan, the ship owner only has to prove that he has a loss that falls within the scope of the insurance. And then it is up to me, the underwriter, to prove that this is an excluded peril or an excluded loss. Then it's my problem. From there, you can see also why in the Nordic market, an underwriter likes to be proactive. He has to be involved from the beginning because we have the burden of proving if anything is excluded. And that is why we like to have a surveyor in attendance from day one. And then you have on the updates of the Nordic plan, it's a constant revision. Every third year is the present frequency. Norwegian Hull Club has one member in the plan revision committee. And like I said initially, that revision is done by the ship owners, the underwriters, academia, and other parties in this environment jointly. So it's a joint document, and that is why it's a document where the ship owners and everyone are very loyal to. You will find very few law cases that deal with the Nordic plan. It is discussed and settled. But this leads also to a very hands-on approach. In the Nordic market, you need to have a hands-on approach because you have to carry the burden of proof. While in the London market with ITC, where you're sitting and just waiting for the owner to prove that he has a loss that is covered, you have a retroactive approach. So that has... I think that thinking runs through the system, and it runs into the law as well. So, what is the market status? At present, the market status is we have the Nordic market 14%, and if I'm reading this correctly, the UK is down to 8.6%. Some years back, when I was in LLM school, I think I remember the UK was up on some 20%. And at that time, they had declined from previous heights. But that decline is continuing. If you ask me, my view is that it comes to the trust. It comes to the promise. That is the main reason behind the strategy that is elected to support the ship owners, the client.
Johnny, sorry for interrupting you. I am trying to understand the principle because we have a principle here. It's like the all risk principle that is like several years ago I read some book from Sephora.
Yeah.
And in Sephora they said it's a very very interesting phrase. They said the all risk principle is at the heart of the plan. So regarding the all risk, so this is like this all risk, and also this the burden of proof transferred to the insurer. Does it mean also that this makes the prices of insuring a little bit higher than the London market?
I think I would say yes, Leonidas. Actually, I do believe that. You are right, and I think what you will find with the Nordic market is that the Nordic market, it's geared for being claims lead. When I showed that vessel and all the co-insurers, it is geared for being claims lead, and that costs more because we have our biggest department, that is the claims department. It's bigger than the underwriting department. In order to accommodate that expectancy we have on us, we have had to invest significantly into claims people and claims technology, solutions, partnerships, etc. So yes, we are probably found to be more expensive, and there's a reason for that.
And this is also a result of long discussions between ship owners and insurers.
Absolutely. And but what you will also see is that increasingly this is what the ship owners like to have. They like to have a lead that they can trust, that they are a member of the club, they own the club, they are a co-owner of the club, they have trust in the club, that the club has their interest at heart, and if the club makes it well, then we return premium. We have no other incentive to decline any cases. On the contrary, but at the heart is very correct, and that is still there. When we are looking at a case, we are looking for a solution. We are looking for cover always, and it lies very heavily on us if we are to tell our member that you are not covered for this, and then we need to be quite certain, because that usually makes some turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
So that is. I have a brief. Did that answer, Leonidas?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So within the Nordic market, you have Guard and Norwegian Hull Club that are side by side. This is the Hull market. Then you have also Higher, where we are bigger, but Norwegian Hull Club and Guard are quite similar, and we are absolutely the main two players within the Nordic market. I know we have. How much time do I have now, Leonidas?
According to the books, we have around 13 minutes, but we can go ahead, please.
Yeah.
No problem. We can have 40 minutes more, something like that. It's okay.
You tell me. I am available, so you tell me. So I think what I would like to show, that is when we talk about the claims side, and now we come to the fun part. That is, how do we deliver that promise to our owners? What do we actually do in order to be what we like to be and what the expectancy is to be, and that is to be the best claims lead in the market. Very briefly, Norwegian Hull Club, like I said, 1837, oldest leg, so we are old. We have just around 12,000 vessels in short, vessels and objects. And we have 6,600 vessels on lead. If you say that about a quarter of those get an incident annually, then you have the number of cases that we get in on whole machinery and also higher. But in total, with everything else, we have about 3,300 new cases annually. We are doing a lot of seminars. I'm not going into that. What we see on the right-hand side is the bark Fridtjof that moved immigrants to US back in the 1850s when we were around. And then you have Titanic in 1912 when we were there. And the Oasis of the Seas. This is one of the big Royal Caribbean with 8,600 passenger and crew, which we are claims lead for as well. Well, we are going heavily into this element, renewable, other stuff, windmills. This is a salmon farm, offshore, solar panels, tidal devices, etc. We are diversifying into the future, and I hope to show you also why maritime law is of relevance there as well. I just took, since we are talking maritime law and what we are actually doing, and just to give an appetizer for the LLM students, these are cases that I think all of them I've been handling myself, whether it is the APL England that is spilling off containers of Australia and the master in imprisonment for months, the nomadic mill that grounded off Barranquilla, successful refloating during COVID time with the salvage master and the master attracting COVID with a salvage plan that had to go through the health authorities of Barranquilla, of Colombia, which is the first time for me. The successful refloading but a CTL because all the bottom of the vessel was open. We have down in the bottom left, this is just after Mr. Putin invaded the Ukraine, one of our Assured's vessel came out from there and got a Russian missile in through the funnel and caused quite significant engine room damage. She managed to limp down to Turkey and be repaired. And then we have on the bottom right, that is the future. Battery ferry, fire in battery package, that happens more and more frequently, also with vessels, not only with Teslas. 11 firefighters coming from shoreside, knowing about how to put out fires ashore, coming on board, putting out fire in a battery package in offshore in the marine environment. 11 firefighters going straight to the hospital due to inhaling poisonous gases, which are caused by hoisting salt water on batteries, causing nasty substances. Fantastic cases. This is what we are dealing with. And between each one of these, there's a lot of law within different areas of insurance, within limitation rules, etc. What is a Nordic underwriter then doing? Well, now, and I say this perhaps especially because we have a young audience, environment, that is an increasingly important element. Poseidon principles we are committed to. Poseidon principles is a framework that an agreement between some of the leading underwriters that they are committing to adjust the portfolio to reach the Paris Convention. It is a fantastic undertaking and will be interesting to see. But we are taking this serious and we are reporting to the board and the ship owners every quarter on this. We are now having 19 nationalities between us, and that is important in a global company. You need to understand global shipping. You need to have people from everywhere now to understand this.
Johannes, yes. So you have 19 nationalities in your company in the club. So it means that any person from any part of the world is able to apply for the Norwegian Health Club.
That is correct.
Oh my God!
That is correct, and we have from time to time applications out, and the latest employments I have done in my team is a Greek lawyer. That was the last one that is now with us. But you are entirely right. We are a global player. 80% of our business is outside of Norway, meaning we need to be diversified also when it comes to the crew.
Very good. So I hope at some moment we can collaborate with our people.
Absolutely.
From Latin America in the Norwegian Health Club.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think I'll just say very quickly, what is the expectancy? This is the Norwegian Health Club's claim strategy, the essence of it. This is the expectancy that the ship owners in our board have put on us to share experience, turn risk into value. This is what we're doing here today, to bring all the expensive experience we have from cases, and then we put that into an educational purpose or training. Quick response, excellent claims handling, and best in the market contingency support. That is the expectancy. So how do we do that? I think I will jump this one, and then I will go into a very short video if it will play with me.
Norwegian Hull Club's Situation Room sits at the heart of our head office in Bergen. It's also very much at the heart of our organisation. This state-of-the-art resource can be seen as the front line of knowledge sharing and support, whether that's internal learning and training, working with clients in preparedness by awareness sessions, or providing them with real-time contingency support. The Situation Room has been purposely created to optimize effective communication. Its features and the insight it provides are based on our experience dealing with typically more than 3,000 claims a year. By combining the latest technologies and systems with in-house expertise and our global network of strategic partners, Norwegian Hull Club delivers both training and contingency support in line with its Expect More ethos. By merging global reality with a wealth of data, our valued clients can benefit from an exceptional level of insight. Such greater understanding has the power to help safeguard lives, health, environment, and property, and protect both people and the planet. So, when we talk about claims handling, it doesn't come without investment, as you can understand. In technical solutions, this is our situation room in Bergen, from where we are monitoring. We call that situational awareness. We have one application made for Norwegian. We call EVA, the emergency warning application. Every time we have a new case of some significance coming in, that enables us to mobilize the people that we like to have on board. That brings in charts from marine traffic, from insurance, and then it brings us all up on the same level of information immediately. From there, I can sit down and go into this CAT, I call it, the claims analysis tool. And there I have a lot of tools that help me. I can put in this case, we have the Aruba Pearl. She had a quite difficult drifting at one point, but I can throw in from their vessel's claims history. I can go in and look at port state controls, deficiencies. If I was the charterer and you have a drifting,
Would that be useful? Yes, of course. Then I will consider, is the vessel seaworthy? What is the history of deficiencies? It will immediately give us some directions in where to look, where to put our surveyor, in what direction. That has some legal implication later, of course. But that puts us in the right direction as claims handlers. I put this today into a real case scenario, the bulk Jupiter. I don't know if you are familiar with the bulk Jupiter. It's a tragic story, but it's an important lesson learned. Bulk Jupiter.
Excuse me. Before I leave, I would like to ask you a question about your last slide. Can I say it again, please? One before?
Yes, there.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. This is really interesting to have this kind of tools. And my question is, how do you support this research, the research to obtain this kind of tools? Do you develop it or pay for it or just support the initiative? How do you do that?
Norwegian Hull Club has our own IT company. We have found out, we have done a decision to be at the forefront of technological development. And then you have two choices as you put forward. We can either go out and invest, or we can develop internally. We have taken the second one. We are developing internally, and then we are developing not necessarily end products, but we are starting and then developing from there. So we are doing everything here internally. This is Norwegian Hull Club owned products.
Okay, thank you very much. Johannes, I take my floor just to say thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to leave, but I am really happy, and my students also, with this very nice information. Thank you very much.
Very nice having you. It has been a true privilege.
Okay, Leonida, thank you very much too.
Thank you, Mr. Dean, for being here.
Okay, bye-bye.
Julian, gracias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
We can continue.
Thank you very much. So this enables us sort of to get some situational awareness on each and every case, these type of tools, together with the situation room that we just showed. So putting this into a context, a real scenario, both Jupiter, she had a cargo of bauxite. This is 2nd of January in 2015. Bauxite, as some of you may know, has a tendency to liquefy, or is prone to liquefy. She was on a cargo on a voyage from Malaysia to China, and during very rough weather of Vietnam, Mayday came in. That was picked up by the Vietnamese MRCC station and the Japanese Coast Guard. They tried to call her up again, no response. So what to do? How do you solve that? Where are you starting? Well, we go into our CAT, into our systems, where we have everything accessible. And when I say we, it is a team within the Norwegian Hull Club. We mobilize, then we have access directly into the ship owner's contingency team, and we are supporting the ship owners. The ship owner has never experienced this. The ship owner may never have experienced a serious incident. They are pretty much on the scratch. They have their procedures, they have their training, but they have never experienced this. Norwegian Hull Club, we have the 3,300 cases on an annual basis. We are mobilizing 40, 50, 60 times on an annual basis. We are doing this on a frequent basis. So we use our systems here, taking the SAR stations. SAR stations will tell us something about whom to speak with, who is in charge to send resources. Here we have the SAR Vietnam. If we lift it a bit higher, this is a completely accessible tool, flight radar. What can you do with air flights? Well, if you speak with the SAR stations and you have a vessel lost, you can actually order a flight to decline altitude and go for a search on the voyage the flight is on. That has been done in lots of flights. You may remember from world media that a sailboat was found by Air Canada a few years back. Massive positive feedback for Air Canada. So they are doing that, of course. But the SAR stations, they can order this. That is an opportunity. This is the AIS, global tracking of all vessels. We can track Norwegian Hull Club vessels, we can track global vessels, of course. So how do you do if you have a lost vessel? Most likely, you can check if she's sending a signal. If she has sunk, she's not. And if she's not, then you can look at what other vessels are in the near proximity. Very recently, we had one vessel going out into a hurricane from China. Vessel signal lost. No contact with the vessel. Then we did this exercise and called nearby vessels, called the master and asked them if he could call on the VHF, if he get any response or if he saw anything on the radar. And he saw the vessel and he got feedback from the VHF that their bridge was heavily damaged. But it enables us to get some information immediately. Then we can lift it higher. We have agreement with satellite tracking with Kongsberg Group and Airbus. That is being used. On the left-hand side, you have that one is from the Aden piracy days. A vessel of ours that has been hijacked. We are able to see her on satellite. And when we know in what direction she's heading, to what beach she is heading, we do know what tribe or what community that has taken, what group has taken the vessel. And from there, we do also know what is the normal settlement level and the type of negotiation that group has. And we can start putting money available to start to put the negotiation team, the right negotiation team up before we have got first contact from the pirates. That has been done, and we do that through satellite. Then on the right-hand side, we had the latest hurricane coming through Mississippi, where we had $100 million vessel sitting on a dry dock. There was a blackout in New Orleans, and we did not know how that was doing. So we took a satellite picture of her, and we saw that she was standing upright in the dry dock. Then the management group, the CEO, he could go home and have dinner again. So for the Bulk Jupiter, this is the scenario where we are supporting the member with competence, with technical solutions, with claims handlers, lawyers. The conclusion with this vessel was she was lost, she sunk. And except for one crew member, the cook, I believe, all rest of the crew was lost. 19 Filipinos, if I remember well. We went into a settlement immediately after, and we did settle, I think, about quite significant amount, part of with the charterers for liquefied cargo. Because we managed to get pictures and videos and reports from the loading site showing that there was too much water. Then we are using web cameras. You have on the top right-hand side, we have a ship owner calling us saying that he believes that he has grounded. How can we help you? Well, okay, we mobilize. Then our loss prevention team from the sit room is looking at what web cameras are in the area, and they do actually manage to find a web camera that is accessible on the vessel's own bridge, which the commercial guys of the shipowning company did not know about themselves. And then we could tell them that, look, here you have footage from your own vessel. We do this actively. We had very recently a vessel, this winter actually, we had a vessel in one of the Norwegian fjords that was hit by an avalanche. First time for me, an avalanche. And then question mark to the LLM students, is an avalanche uninsured peril under ITC? Question mark. I have asked the same question to some of the London brokers, and they have been a bit perplexed and looking into the roof and the floor. And under the Nordic plan, we do not have to consider it's an old risk, and an avalanche is certainly not excluded, so it is covered, of course. But what are we then doing, like I said, as a claims leader? On the terms of loss prevention, emergency response, we are supporting with drifting vessels, collisions, grounding. With collisions, we can reproduce the tracks. If there are AIS tracks anywhere, we can reproduce them immediately through our system here. We can do it on the spot. That gives us an immediate opportunity to understand who is liable on the call wreck, at least. And an immediate opportunity to understand whether we like to shop forum shopping. When I was in law school, I had international procedural law professor who said that shopping forum was a very bad thing, and he was searching for an international call to unify procedural law. From my chair, as long as you are first, as long as you are proactive, as long as you have the technical tools to understand what is happening, then forum shopping is a fantastic opportunity to do a good service for your ship owner. And this is where it is fun to be a lawyer in collision cases, when you have these type of technical solutions. We are monitoring all hurricanes and tsunamis. And if you have a ship owner that finds his vessel in a hurricane, at least in the bad quadrant of the hurricane or a typhoon, he will receive a call from us, and very politely saying that you are no doubt aware, but your vessel is now in a bad spot or heading into a bad spot, just in case you are not aware. So we are monitoring this. We are monitoring pirate activities in Nigeria, etc. So if we have any piracy, attempted piracy on vessels that are within 50 nautical or whatever circle we put around it from our vessel, then our ship owners will get a similar call saying that now there's been a failed attempt. And a failed attempt means that they almost always go for the second nearest vessel, and then they go to the third one if that is failed as well. Now you prepare your crew, start engines, start moving your vessel. We are on there. And then social media. Is social media relevant for a shipping lawyer? Question mark.
Yes, it is. It is very important to know what happens sometimes, because you can find.
Fully agree. I fully agree. I just recently spoke with a London-based solicitor who found some footage, which was actually not on social media, but on a webcam, which decided a court case, several million court case, that they had started the proceedings and everything, and they didn't know of this footage. But then the footage came, they found it, and it confirmed their case, and they won the case on the basis of this. If you have a technical, if you have an emergency response team that has this on the agenda from day one, you go in, you look at social media, you look at the webcams and everything we looked at, you will immediately start building a very strong legal case that gives you some support down the line. We do this actively. I don't know if you know this case. This is the Viking Sky. She's a passenger vessel, a Norwegian passenger vessel, coming out from Norway straight into, not a hurricane, but it was very bad, rough weather, crossing over a renowned difficult navigation area called Hustadvika in Norway. Coming out there, starting rolling quite significantly, engine blackout. This is probably the closest to a complete disaster we have seen globally since Costa Concordia, and this would have been a much worse case than Costa Concordia. The master, faced with a blackout, he threw out both anchors, and the anchor held. They don't say how far they were from the reef, but there's an expectancy of 50 to 100 meters. And this is a 350 meter long vessel. This one going on, this was 1,500 people on board, and you would have probably, if this one had gone on the reef, broken quite quickly, you would have a 80-90% casualty rate around there. Started helicopter evac immediately while the vessel was there. Norwegian Hull Club was sitting in the ship owner's room and mobilized in the situation room also. We were dealing with the tugs and getting the tugs on board. We were Hull machinery lead on this, not P&I. But and this is where we can see from here what is happening. But if we were a P&I lead, or even if we were a legal company that were interested in work on crew cases, traumatized crew or passengers or something like that, well, social media may be a place to look, because that will certainly give some indication on what is going on internally. And we see if we can get...
Okay?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
Yep. No, we're not kidding you.
Get that on video.
So you will probably have some traumatized and perhaps some injured passengers there, and knowing that the passengers on these cruise lines are usually a bit up in age as well. And you have a helicopter evac going on at the same time. Well, if you're a P&I club, then you know that here you need to have a full mobilization on the land side. You need to have trauma people and everything, the full Monty here. And like I said, if you are a law firm that is looking into these type of cases, well, you have a lot of potentials here. I will show one more example here, where we are, Norwegian Hull Club gets a phone call, where we are told that there's a fire, a small explosion and fire on one of our vessels. We go in, look immediately at this to understand what type of mobilization we need to do. And this is what our loss prevention team finds immediately.
저 가운데서 뭔가 터졌네. 계속 하고 편이야. 이렇게
So Norwegian Hull Club is insuring both these vessels. We are a claims lead on one of them, and we are a following share on the other of these. Seeing this footage, this is a combination of webcams and social media. We know immediately that here we need to have best experts on the legal side. We need to put up the communication barrier between these two vessels. We need to have two teams and mobilize fully on both of them. That gives us an edge, I would say, by having a team that is on this ball immediately. And then we have all of this fantastic footage that brings a story with it. See. So, I think this is my last slide. The future. Norwegian Hull Club, as I mentioned, we are also going in, and this is not only Norwegian Hull Club, this is the entire Nordic market. We are going into offshore. Renewable. This is a platform for windmills. Norwegian Hull Club is going into that. We have an ambition to be the biggest claims deed for these windmill farms. Many are saying that putting windmills offshore, that is simply property from land put into water. Is that true? Well, here we have a bulker on the shore side of the Netherlands with a normal engine failure. She was salvaged by, as far as I recall, Smith Salvage. They came on board and they managed to put up a tow line. But before they managed to do that, she did put a dent into this platform. And that dent is apparently of a value or a repair cost of 45 million euro. So now I'm thinking limitation. If I was the underwriter for this platform for a windmill, I would consider, and I know that the other party, the vessel, can limit. Well, where can we get them into a jurisdiction where they can limit at the highest level or not at all? Can we break through it? This means that maritime law, it is also relevant for this future. It is very relevant, and we are using this actively. The experience that we have with us from 185 years of marine insurance into the future, into the offshore renewable. On that note, I thank you all for bearing with me. I know I have always spent my time, Leonidas, very much, but I hope that the message has come through, how we like to do things in the Nordic market. And then again, I apologize for being biased, why I believe that the London market is failing in delivering the promise to the ship owners. And I will take down the presentation from there.
We have some comments in the chat. I will say that Maria Judith Buñay is saying excellent intervention. Joannis, thank you for sharing this important information. Juan Ponce is saying thank you for the presentation. And I am really astonished. I am surprised of how in so little time you have presented to us a lot of cases. This is incredible, and also with these videos, and then it's like we need more. We need to learn more.
I am. Thank you for that, Leonidas, and I think, like I have told you, Leonidas, we can do it much more specialized, and we can do it much more legal if that is required. But today, the message was more holistic and on overall strategies.
And then I am very sure that every participant, every student of the LLM will be thinking, oh, which claims are related to this, how these claims are to be presented, but very fast. So it is incredible. Thank you very much for the presentation. I believe you have been elaborating so many hours this presentation in order to provide us a lot of information and to make more doubts now to us to continue studying. The very important issue is that what we are doing now, what we are studying now, is very international, and that we are learning every day and more. So we have to be updated always. And now I see all the objectives that the Norwegian Heart Club is going through. So congratulations for that. Congratulations for you, Mr. Vice President. In the name of the students, of all people here, and I also take the advantage to thank the opportunity to thank to all the participants here, but also in the name of them to thank you for your efforts, for your time. I know, we know that it is at this moment 2:22 a.m. in the morning in Norway. So we have taken your time, and we are grateful for that. Thank you for sharing to us this. So Byron Martinez, I say thanks a lot, very useful. And Jesus Cornejo, thanks for the presentation. Thank you very much, Joannis. I hope to have you again, and the university is very grateful for your presentation as well.
Thank you very much, Leonidas, and thank you all for listening and giving us the opportunity to show our face. As you may understand, I am very dedicated and passionate in what I'm doing, and I enjoy it very much. So to the LLM students, you find what you like and find the passion in it, and then you will have a great future in the marine industry.
Well, so thank you very much to all. And this has been a presentation by the Johannes Blog Danielsen, Vice President, Senior Vice President of the Norwegian Heart Club. Thank you very much, Johannes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, bye-bye.